Congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see. With an emoji. To stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Broadcasting from coast to coast.
City to city, coast to coast.
It's time for the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's happening in sports, it's being talked about right here. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Thursday morning. Good NFL draft morning. Welcome into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network with you right here until 11 a.m. Eastern. Whew. Take a deep breath. Take a sigh of relief. We have finally made it. The NFL draft is here. No more speculation. No more breaking down tape. No more arguing about Mac Jones or Trey Lance or Justin Fields or this receiver and that lineman and this and that and this and that. We can finally now, after 3 months, 3 long, excruciating months, finally get some answers. And that's what we're here for, right? We want answers. We think we know. I think I know what's going to happen. You think you know what's going to happen. But now we definitively get some answers, and I could not be relieved that the draft is finally here. So for the next 2 hours, like I said, until 11 a.m. Eastern, we will have you covered right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, previewing every final angle for the draft and get you ready for 8 o'clock tonight. We'll have a ton of guests, a ton of contributors from hopefully names that sound very familiar and voices that you have heard here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, all different fans of all different teams. We'll start at 9:30. My guy, CJ DeSimone. You see him in the comments a lot. He regularly, I should say, chimes in on the show. He is the host of Weapons Hot right here on the Worldwide Sports Network Fridays at 7. He'll hop on to preview the Jets draft. Not much discussion about the Jets draft, right? Because it's just, Zach Wilson, and that's really more Zach Wilson. Is it even a good decision for the Jets to be drafting a quarterback? And is there anyone that CJ would like to see? Maybe he's more of a Justin Fields fan. We will get CJ's thoughts at 9:30 Eastern, 9:40. All right, Clarence Nixson from the Wise Guys will join us. Big Bengals fan, Clarence is. And they have an interesting decision because they really, depending on how the first 4 picks go, could go one of three ways. Penei Sewell, tackle from Oregon. Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's teammate, wide receiver at LSU. Fascinating to see which way the Bengals do go. I flip-flop myself a few times. I'll tell you which one I'm thinking. We'll get Clarence's thoughts. Jimmy O'Connell of the Sports Lords, right here, also on the Worldwide Sports right now, top of the second hour. He's a Falcons fan. We'll talk about this later on in the show. Is it possible the Falcons are the most powerful team in this draft? They have a ton of different options, and each option will have its own ripple effects to what happens with the rest of the top 10, what happens in the rest of the first half of the draft. We'll get Jimmy's thoughts on who he wants to see his team take at number 4. Speedy Petey, producer extraordinaire, technical wizard for every show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, but also producer extraordinaire and big-time contributor on the Sports Loudmouth Show. Errol Marks, Josh Silverberg right here, also on the Worldwide Sports Network. Big-time Giants fan, Speedy is. So we'll get his thoughts on a Giants draft where they're at number 11 when you see there's not many picks I feel like the Giants could do wrong. It's a nice luxury Dave Gettleman has, but we'll talk to Speedy, get his thoughts as well. As a reminder, we're coming to you live, as we always are, from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios, where it's great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners. Check out Big Italy Pizzeria in person in Medford, Joe's Pizzeria in Bayshore, classic New York pizza joint, also in Bayshore, and online at BigItalyPizza.com. So we'll get into all of those guests between now and 11 a.m. We'll talk about the most powerful team in the draft, who that is, and why that is, 10:40 Eastern. But before we get going here, right, but before we kind of start previewing some of these teams individually, how about we start looking at some of the big storylines in the draft, start making some real predictions. That's what we're here for, right? So we'll do a sort of mock draft of how, of a combination of how I think the draft will go, but also should go. For example, do I think the Jets should take Zach Wilson number 2? I don't. But I am 99.999% sure they will. So I'm not going to go crazy here. I'll give you Zach Wilson number 2. If it's not definitive, I'll tell you what they should do. But if we have an answer, like for example, Jaguars are number 1, I'll give you what they will do. But also, because everyone wants to know who's going where quarterback-wise, we'll give you the destinations for all 5. All 5 quarterbacks here, where they're going to go, who's going to take them. Because obviously, as we know, the draft, if you want to say starts at number 3, because I'm not sold really that that the 49ers are going to go Mac Jones number 3. We've been hearing that. Is that going to be the guy? But until, honestly, Mac Jones' name is actually said, I will believe it. So a ton of questions. 5 quarterbacks. Where will they go? Well, guess what we're going to do? I'm going to tell you right now. No better way to get this through. We'll get a little NFL theme music here. There we go. Let's get rolling. A mini mock draft for all of the big-time names. We'll do the top 10, but also some, I do have one quarterback falling out of the top 10. I'll tell you where they go. So we won't waste a lot of time at the top here. Jaguars are going to go Trevor Lawrence number 1. That is a done deal. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the contract is already signed between Lawrence and the Jaguars. It is as much of a guarantee as you could have. It was a guarantee for whatever team was drafting there at number 1. Trevor Lawrence going to go to the Jaguars. Zach Wilson going to go number 2, right? Again, really going out on a limb there, but Zach Wilson going to go to the Jets at number 2. Don't think it's the right move. Personally, I think the Jets would be way better off drafting Penei Sewell. I think the Jets would be better off trading back, getting more assets, and building the team through the draft instead of taking the quarterback first and then hoping to build the team second. Spent many shows, spent many minutes here blabbering your ears off, but why I think the Jets are making a mistake, I'm not getting off that. We'll talk to CJ about it, but Jets are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to take Zach Wilson. Hopefully it turns out better than Sam Darnold. I'm not sure there's much there to actually have that come to fruition, but we will see. Number 3, where the draft actually starts. The most intrigue, the most speculation, the most drama, the most talked about draft spot in all of the NFL draft for the last month and a half since the 49ers traded up to go from 12 to 3. Who will they be taking? For me, I have wavered. I have unfortunately despite being on the Justin Fields bandwagon, or on the Justin Fields train, I should say, not on the bandwagon, on the Justin Fields train this entire time, looking around, it seems to be a two-horse race, Mac Jones and Trey Lance. So for this exercise, unfortunately, I'm exiting off the Justin Fields train. It hurts me. I will be actually kicking myself if that does end up being the pick tonight. I don't think it's going to be Justin Fields. I'm going to throw that off to the side. I do think the pick for the 49ers is going to be Trey Lance. I think this is Trey Lance, and here's why. Let's look at what the 49ers did so far in this draft process, right? They have made two big-time aggressive moves. The first aggressive move they made was deciding to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, right? They haven't traded him yet, but when they were sitting at 12, they could have taken the best player available. They could have ran it back with Jimmy G and just point to, hey, the injuries, obviously the biggest reason why we were under 500 last year, why we missed the playoffs. When Jimmy Garoppolo is in the starting lineup, they are 24-8. 26-9 if you count the playoffs. They can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. But Kyle Shanahan said, screw it, enough of the injuries. I want a guy that not only I can count on physically to be out there, but also maybe gives us another edge, gives us even another leg up, and gives us something extra, whether it's accuracy with Mac Jones, whether it's just dynamic athleticism and arm strength with Trey Lance, or playmaking with Justin Fields. He decided, you know what? We can do a lot better in this draft than what we got right now. So the first aggressive decision the 49ers made was to decide we are going to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to draft a quarterback. Well, the second decision then, played into that, the second most aggressive decision they made was then getting themselves in the driver's seat to draft a quarterback. They went from 12 again to 3. They gave up their own first-round pick, the number 12 pick this year, 2 other first-round picks to the Dolphins. They gave up a ton to move from 12 to 3 to be in the position after Trevor Lawrence, after Zach Wilson, to get whatever quarterback that they desire. So first, big-time decision, aggressive decision, move off of Jimmy Garoppolo, go in a different direction. Second, put themselves in position, make a big move in the draft, give up 2 first-round picks the next 2 years to be able to draft whatever quarterback they like the most at number 3. So let me ask you this then. If they made 2 already major aggressive moves, why would Kyle Shanahan all of a sudden and John Lynch, the general manager, play it safe and draft Mac Jones? I don't get it. He may be only behind Trevor Lawrence as the highest floor of any quarterback in this draft. So I do think Mac Jones will have success. I think the 49ers will win. Are they winning a Super Bowl? I don't think so. But they will win. They'll be competitive. They'll make the playoffs. But with that said, are you really moving mountains? Are you really going to go through all of this to then draft a quarterback marginally maybe better than Jimmy Garoppolo? I'm not even 100% sold that he is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't give you anything more that Jimmy Garoppolo provides. I just personally can't see it. And I would be legitimately shocked. I understand the betting odds are in favor of Mac Jones. I understand for the last 6 weeks, all we've been hearing is Mac Jones to the 49ers, Mac Jones to the 49ers, Mac Jones to the 49ers. I get it. I've been reading, trust me, ad nauseum. I've been reading these reports, looking at mock drafts, reading it all, soaking it in. I just can't wrap my brain around the fact that they would play it safe after being aggressive twice and settle for the safe pick. Sure, again, high floor, ready to play right now. He could come in and start week 1. But also, he has, I think, the lowest ceiling of all 5 quarterbacks in this draft. When all 5 are at their best, Mac Jones, to me, is 5th out of 5. So why play it safe? I think the 49ers are going to be aggressive. They're going to go for Trey Lance. He gives them athleticism that Kyle Shanahan really hasn't had at the quarterback position, whether it's in Atlanta, whether it's in Washington, whether it's in San Francisco. He hasn't really had an athlete behind center running his offense. You have a guy with tremendous arm strength, which really, a lot of the questions are just being raw, trying to polish him up. But when you look at what happened with Buffalo with Josh Allen, when you look at what happened in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, I understand it's easy to look at the guys that worked out. But those guys were rough around the edges coming out of college, heading to the pros. Those guys weren't considered the best quarterback in their draft class. Those guys were considered big-time projects with high bust potential. But also, they had very high ceilings where if things go right, they can go really right. That is what Trey Lance is, and I think when you look at what the 49ers have, with an offense that has an elite offensive line, really good running game, solid receivers, again, one of the best offensive coaches in the game, the foundation is in place to where if you have a raw talent like Trey Lance, you can develop him, you can mold him into a quarterback that takes over the league, that makes a run, makes a rise, makes a jump like Josh Allen did, like Patrick Mahomes did, and put yourself in that upper echelon where you have not a quarterback that's serviceable, not a quarterback that can win you games. You have an elite upper echelon, top 5 quarterback in all of the NFL at your disposal. That's what I think Kyle Shanahan sees. I think he's no dummy. I think the pick is going to be Trey Lance. Number 4, the Falcons. Massive, massive move now. The Falcons to go with Mac Jones. Justin Fields is rumored to be a quarterback that they like a lot. Kyle Pitts, the best non-quarterback in this draft, and arguably first or second prospect overall in this draft. Trade back. The Falcons have so many different options to do. I think they're going to stay at number 4, and you take the sure thing. I think they're going to take Kyle Pitts. You take the sure thing. To me, he is the closest to a sure thing in this draft. An athletic freak, line him up at receiver, line him up at tight end. He doesn't drop the ball. He had 0 drops last year at Florida. He's a nightmare for defenses in terms of being a mismatch. Honestly, who's going to line up with Kyle Pitts? The guy is 6'6", 240, and runs fast as hell. Linebacker's too slow. Safety's too small. Corner is just going to plow through him. There's no one you can point to in defense and say, yeah, that guy's going to guard Kyle Pitts and do it well. Take the walking mismatch, especially if you're going to have to trade Julio Jones to get yourself some cap relief. Give, at least if you want to run it back with Matt Ryan, a chance to succeed. But not only the chance to succeed in 2021, whenever I should say, you decide to move on from Matt Ryan. After this year, after next year, whenever you do bring in someone to succeed him, you have a tremendous receiver in Calvin Ridley there. You have a tremendous mismatch, a pure athlete stud in Kyle Pitts there as well. Take the sure thing. Take the Hall of Fame potential guy in Kyle Pitts at number 4. Don't trade back. Don't take your quarterback. I think the Falcons will take Kyle Pitts. I think they should take Kyle Pitts. Which means, to me, the Bengals' decision at number 5 between Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase. I think they're going to go Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow's been pushing for it. That's his guy. They set records together at LSU in 2019. And here's a good point that I read that I recently considered. I did change my pick, to be honest, from Penei Sewell to Jamar Chase. The 2 positions that are the deepest in this draft, you can make the argument, offensive line, especially the tackle position, and receiver. Both needs that the Bengals have. So if you're the Bengals, basically, you have the luxury of getting the best guy at that position now, and then also addressing the other position with a pretty good tackle still on the board, or a pretty good receiver still on the board in round 2, but you can get 2 starters right away. So for me, I think Jamar Chase is a can't-miss stud here, receiver-wise. I think he is more of a sure thing than Penei Sewell. Take Jamar Chase at 5, then take a tackle in the second round to address both positions at once in the first 2 rounds. So that's what I think the Bengals should do. I think they will do. I do have the first trade. We'll get to this quickly here. Broncos, I think they are desperate for a quarterback. I know they traded for Teddy Bridgewater yesterday. I'm not buying that they're all of a sudden out of the quarterback market now. With Justin Fields not getting picked by the 49ers, not getting picked by the Falcons, I think the Broncos make a move, go up to number 6. I think right now the Dolphins are set on 2 guys, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts. If they're both not there, I think the Dolphins do trade back. And the Broncos moving up from 9 to 6, take Justin Fields. Drew Lock, and then all of a sudden is on the clock. Penei Sewell does, to me, go to the Lions at number 7. Panthers, then, a quarterback potentially with Mac Jones. I don't think they do. I think they go Micah Parsons. To me, the best and most versatile defender on the board. He should go number 1. Dolphins then going from 6 to 9. I think they do get their guy that they want at 6. They can get him at 9. That's Jalen Waddle. Rounding out the top 10, Patrick Surtain, the man. The Cowboys need help defensively everywhere, right? Everywhere. There's no position on defense that they say, you know what, we're good. Remember last year? Sure, they fired Mike Nolan, their defense coordinator, and then they bring in Dan Quinn. The Cowboys have to go defense. So that means, to me, there's 2 players not taken in the top 10 that people care about, that people are curious about. Devontae Smith, Mac Jones. Who goes where? For me, Devontae Smith doesn't go that far to the top 10. I think he goes at 11 to the Giants. And I'll be honest, I am not a Daniel Jones guy at all, to be completely honest with you. That offense, though, with Saquon Barkley now progressing to be on track, ready for week 1. They signed Kenny Galladay. I like Darius Slayton. Sterling Shepard is there. And now also you add Devontae Smith. That is, that's a pretty damn good skill position group for the Giants. And if Daniel Jones still can't hit receivers, still is struggling to read defenses, still can't move the ball and hold on to it and put the ball in his playmakers' hands, time to look somewhere else next year for a new quarterback. So I think Devontae Smith goes 11 to the Giants. And now where does Mac Jones go? I don't have him going 3. I don't have him going 4. I have him sliding out of the top 10. So to me, he ends up with the New England Patriots. And this is a guy where Bill Belichick doesn't have to trade up for it, keeps his draft assets. I don't buy at least that they're in on Jimmy G, at least right now. Maybe after the first round goes by. I think Mac Jones ends up in a Patriots uniform. He is playing with Bill Belichick probably week 1. If they draft him, I don't see Cam Newton fighting off Mac Jones. I just don't think Cam Newton's that good, to be honest. And, hey, the skill positions are a little bit better in New England this year than they were last year. So I'm curious your thoughts. I give you a few of mine. Ooh, so I didn't total change in the music there. I just went right down. I'm sorry about that. I gave you my thoughts. Gave you my predictions. Trey Lance at number 3. Kyle Pitts at number 4. I think Justin Fields ends up with the Broncos. I think Mac Jones goes to the Patriots. Dolphins do get Jalen Waddle, but trade down. There are so many things, so many moves that could have made in this NFL draft. I give you my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours because this is it. This is now or never. This is the final time you'll be able to give your thoughts on what will happen, what should happen, because in just about 11 and a half hours from now, we will actually get some answers. We will get some answers, and we can then start breaking down who made some good moves, who made some bad moves. So when we come back, we'll get your thoughts. Facebook, I'm sorry. Love to hear. In case you do want to comment, I'll tell you where to comment. Facebook, we have the live stream on our Facebook page, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You can comment right there on the comment section. If you're listening on Twitter, we appreciate you. You can find the live stream on Twitter, WWSRN_radio, WWSRN_radio. Also, I've tweeted it from my personal account, at Ryan Hickey Show. At Ryan Hickey Show. You can watch on Twitter, comment right there on the live stream as well. YouTube, if you want to watch live on YouTube, Worldwide Sports Radio Network is our YouTube page. We are live there as well. So comment, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Where is Mac Jones going? Who are the 49ers taking at number 3? How many quarterbacks are going to go in the top 10? Where are these quarterbacks going to end up? So many different storylines to watch and look at. I'd love to hear your thoughts before we do get out of here at 11 a.m. Eastern. Who is going where? Remember, CJ DeSimone with the Jets coming up in about 8 minutes or so. We'll get to CJ. And also when we come back quickly here, there's one team I'm looking at that made questionable draft moves last year. Will they do so again this year or learn the lesson? I'll tell you what team that is next. It's the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Do current market conditions...
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Let me see those hands again. Hang on now. Hey, everybody jump, 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 jump.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The NFL Draft, few hours away. We'll get you a preview with a bunch of different Worldwide Sports Radio Network hosts throughout the entirety of the show. Falcons, Giants, Bengals, but right now we zoom in on the Jets. Very excited. A name very familiar to you all. It is CJ DeSimone, host of the Weapons High podcast every Friday at 7 o'clock. CJ, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes, man. What's going on?
Oh, man. It's been one hell of a week. We'll just call it that.
Yes, absolutely. And CJ, also, it's been one hell of a draft season, if you will. 3 months of agony, of excruciating debates and topics, and we are finally here. But it's funny, and it's interesting, because obviously everyone's talked a ton about the 49ers, what they're going to do. Your team, the Jets, pick at number 2, is going to take a quarterback, but there's really been no debate or discussion about it at all. Do you think, well, number one, it's going to be Zach Wilson, right? There is zero chance in your mind that they go anywhere else but Zach Wilson?
Yeah, I truly believe that. I think that Joe Douglas had his mind made up when he went to the pro days. He said that he was going to see all of these quarterbacks throw, within their pro days before he decided to make a decision on Sam Darnold, which is what he did.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's something from the Joe Douglas book of operations. So he gave Sam the golden parachute, was able to corral some more draft assets, which I believe he's going to use to improve this football team. Right now, all signs point to Zach Wilson being the guy. I know that there are a lot of conflicting reports, but what I tell you, this is kind of funny, Ryan, and I was reading this a little bit last night before I went to sleep. There's quite a few articles that are now starting to surface that feel like that the Jets are going to be making a huge mistake taking Zach Wilson with the number 2 overall pick. And I'm starting to think that there's a little bit more of the New York Jets negative bias starting to come out a little bit ahead of the draft. The reason being is because there really has not been any type of leaks that have been coming out in One Jets Drive in regards to the draft, in regards to what Joe Douglas's plan is, and so on. And because of that, it just seems like a lot of people are just taking handfuls of mud and just throwing it against the wall. And even when I read a couple of those articles, the articles about Zach Wilson you could make the same argument for Trevor Lawrence. You could make the same argument for Trey Lance. You could make the same argument for Mac Jones. You can make the same argument for Justin Fields. So I think one of the things we all need to agree on is that the NFL draft is a crapshoot.
Mm-hmm.
You try to get your best player available. You try to get the guy who fits what your football program is trying to accomplish. And if you're lucky enough to get that guy that fits your program, what you guys are trying to accomplish, then you know what? As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what Mel Kiper thinks or Todd McShay thinks or Dan Orlovsky thinks, because
right.
You're the guy that's picking this kid, giving this kid an opportunity to play for your franchise, and you're gonna ride or die with him. So, to me, I still think that Mel Kiper is incredibly sour toward the New York Jets on them trading off Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
But he just needs to learn to take the L on that, because there were a lot of people, myself included, that were wrong about Sam Darnold.
So CJ, I'll go with this thing, because I am, full disclosure, I am one of those guys that I personally do think the Jets are making a huge mistake. Not just taking Zach Wilson, taking a quarterback in general. When I look at the offense, when I look at the Jets, where they are in 2021 compared to 2018 when they took Sam Darnold, as you know, being a Jets fan, you remember in 2018 what the reaction was like when they took Sam Darnold. This was a steal from the rest of the draft. Everyone else is an idiot. We got our golden goose at number 3. Everyone's going to be regretting it. He is going to be our guy the next 10, 15, 20 years. Move over Joe Namath. We have got the guy finally. And as you know, 3 years he is gone now with the Panthers. What to me...
Right. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, yeah, how'd that work out, Ryan? Tell me.
So let me ask you this, CJ, as a diehard Jets fan yourself. What is the difference in this team in 2021 that gives you hope Zach Wilson can work out compared to 2018 when there was the same hope for Sam Darnold? But as we know, the coaching stunk, the offense was god-awful, the talent was terrible. And to me personally, I think that's the reason why Sam Darnold failed. Why are the Jets in a better situation now to draft a quarterback than they were in 2018 when they took Sam Darnold?
I think for the reasons that you just named. You have a better coaching outfit, which is now running the program. You have a better general manager. There, believe it or not, is some talent on this team, although people want to kind of wave their hand at it and say that there really isn't a lot of talent on this team, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. This team right now is in a spot where they're not as far off as people will say.
Not as far off, meaning what? Like playoffs, or just like competent, no. 500, getting some wins here and just building something sustainable?
Right. I think right now, the Jets are still in the midst of the rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
I think that going out and getting a Zach Wilson, giving him an opportunity to learn the game in this type of an environment where he'll be able to grow with his offensive line, with these offensive weapons that they're going to be getting over the next couple of days, hopefully. And also keep in mind, training camp, there's still the probability that the Jets will bring in a veteran quarterback, because I really don't like the idea of throwing Zach Wilson out there day one. I would like more, for them to get a veteran quarterback to start maybe 3, 4 games, 5 games, give the kid an opportunity to learn the speed of the game, to assimilate himself to the speed of the game, be able to process the defenses, work with the coaches, work with the quarterback's coach. And hey, that's a novel concept. The New York Jets actually have a quarterback this season. So, so Zach Wilson is going to be getting a lot more resources at his disposal than unfortunately Sam Darnold had at his. So that's why I don't think it's as bad as everyone is making it out to be. I really don't.
We will see, CJ. That is obviously, the nice thing about this. We'll see how Joe Douglas does in the draft. We'll see what Robert Saleh's head coach. I like the hiring, to be honest. I'm not definitely negative or down on Saleh. We don't know. I mean, it's hard to be worse than Adam Gase, so at least that's a good thing. I guess you can only go up from there. So we'll see how Saleh and Mike LaFleur do with that new offense. So here's my question also as well. We know they're going to take a quarterback. We know they're going to be Zach Wilson. In your mind, if you were Joe Douglas, the general manager, would you take Zach Wilson number 2, or would you take Justin Fields or Mac Jones or Trey Lance instead of Zach Wilson?
Well, if I were the general manager and I'm sitting there at 2, I take a look at the board and I'm seeing who are the best quarterback prospects coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And for me right now, depending on who you ask, you're going to get. If you ask 5 people, you're going to get 5 different answers, because no one's ever going to agree.
Right.
The only thing they're going to agree on is Trevor Lawrence. So now, some people will have Zach Wilson as the second best quarterback. Some people have Justin Fields. Some people have Mac Jones. Some people have Trey Lance. So it all depends on who you ask. But for me, my smart money, from things that I've read, people that I've spoken to about the kid, video that I've watched on the kid, he's got the makings of a playmaker, and that's something that the New York Jets desperately need a quarterback. We can't just have another game manager, because we drafted Mark Sanchez and he ended up becoming a game manager. We drafted Sam Darnold and we criminally neglected the offensive line, and he got himself killed time after time again. We need a guy who's going to go out there and who's going to be able to command the huddle, be a leader of men, go out there and get that score. So, to me, I think that Zach Wilson is that guy. Now, mind you, I'm not taking anything away from Justin Fields, because when you compare Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, it's like splitting hairs.
Right.
So, because there are things that Zach does very well that Justin does not. There are things that Justin does well that Zach does not. But these are things that can be fixed with coaching. So, it's funny that you brought up the 2018 class, right? Everyone called Josh Allen a bum. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Lamar Jackson barely got picked in the first round at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Meanwhile, they were saying he was going to be picked in the top 10. All right. Josh Rosen. Okay. Josh Rosen was a top 10 pick. How'd that work out?
Not good.
Okay. Nobody saw Baker Mayfield going first overall.
Nope.
So really, when it comes to all of these projections and mock drafts and so on, it's taking a handful of mud, throwing it against the wall, and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And right now, nobody is sticking anywhere, because 1 seems to be the only known. 2 seems to be the only known. 3 right now went from being the only known and now is starting to turn into a giant question mark. So now, we don't know what 4 is going to look like. We don't know what 5 is going to look like, et cetera, et cetera. So
right.
A lot of people are saying, well, hey, the draft is going to start at 4. And I don't think that that's the case. I think that the draft starts at 3, because the 49ers are still right now very, very on the fence about what they want to do. So, but they've got, less than 10 hours to figure it out. because they're going to be on the clock very soon.
It gets you quicker than you think, that's for sure. CJ, so final question for you here. And again, Weapons Hot every Friday at 7 o'clock is where you can hear CJ right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Jets also have a second first-round pick at number 23. Is there a position you want to see addressed with that second first-round pick?
Offensive line.
Boom. Offensive line. Tackle, whatever. Just get him in there. Give Zach Wilson a chance to have some pass blocking, huh?
Mm-hmm. There's three people in particular I have my eye on. Elijah Vera Tucker.
Mm-hmm. From USC.
Creed Humphrey.
From Oklahoma.
And Wyatt Davis.
Okay, from Ohio State. All right. There you go. Offensive line at number 23. CJ sticking with Zach Wilson, number 2. He is his guy. We obviously, presumably, think that's going to be the pick tonight for Joe Douglas. We'll see what happens going forward. CJ, again, Weapons Hot every Friday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. CJ, we are finally here. Enjoy the draft. And we'll hear you on the Worldwide Sports Network, man. I appreciate the time.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to CJ. We appreciate him coming on here and giving us a few minutes. He is with Zach Wilson, number 2. He is going to go the quarterback, although, again, it's quarterback-wise, you heard me say before, I'm a little nervous that the Jets aren't much different in 2021 than they are in 2020, but it seems like it's going to go quarterback as well. We'll see if it can work out. We're going to do something live here. We'll see how this works out. We can get Clarence Nixon, talk a little Bengals here. We'll see if he picks up on the air. Let's see. Big Bengals fan. Not looking. Oh.
Please leave your message for 5.
All right, here's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break here. We'll try to get Clarence on the horn. Big Bengals fan himself. They have a fascinating decision at number 5. Do they go tackle? Do they give Joe Burrow some support and give him a chance to have someone blocked? Or do they go receiver? Hook him up with his former LSU teammate, Jamar Chase, and go all in on the skill position players. Maybe even go Kyle Pitts if he is there as well. If the Falcons take a quarterback at number 4. We'll get Clarence. We'll try to get Clarence on the horn. I teased it before, didn't have time to get to it, so my apologies on that. But when we do come back, also, if we don't have Clarence, there's one team last year, a contending team, a playoff team last year, that made a very fascinating, interesting, controversial pick in last year's draft. What will they do this year? Will they go down the same road they went last year? Or will they actually wise up and maybe draft for the team they have now? We'll discuss who that team is and what they're going to do when the Ryan Hickey Show does return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well,
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers. People who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show. Right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Well, we tried to get a little jump around going here. Did not, so I'll give you a little Radio 101 here, at least from my setup here. So all the regional music is played from YouTube. There we go. See, this is what I was looking for to start. But going off YouTube, I don't really have, obviously when you hear the commercials playing, don't have too much time to listen to the music to get it queued up exactly, the way I'd like it. So sometimes it's just kind of blindly clicking on it and hoping it's right there. And for House of Pain, see, this is also my fault. Clicked on the official music video instead of kind of going just like the lyrics But that's why we had the House of Pain intro that I totally forgot is there. So my apologies for that. But we did get it. We did finally get the hook and get the beat where we hopefully would like it. So welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Here until 11 a.m. Eastern, previewing the NFL Draft. We'll hopefully chat with Clarence Nixson, Wise Guys host right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We appreciate CJ DeSimone coming on and coming through, talking about the Jets. He's feeling optimistic that Zach Wilson will be the pick. No surprise. We'll have success. Big surprise, at least for me personally. I'm nervous about the prospects of Zach Wilson going forward with the Jets. I don't see it personally much different than 2018 when the Jets took Sam Darnold. CJ's feeling more optimistic. He's buying into Robert Saleh. He's buying into Michael LaFleur, the offensive coordinator. He likes the talent on this Jets team more than some and more than what was there in 2018. So we will see. I think the Jets will honestly be wiser and better off addressing the team first, trading back, taking Penei Sewell, just getting some actual talent on offense first before getting the quarterback. But every team does it their own way. Some have success doing it one way. Some fail doing it the same way. Obviously, like CJ mentioned, it is a crapshoot. I think the only thing I'll say about the draft in general is that I feel like, obviously, not a lot of it. There is luck involved for sure. There is luck involved in every aspect of some guys hitting, some guys busting out. It just, sometimes you just can't explain it. I will say this, though. I'm a firm believer of this. I think the team itself, how they're constructed, what the culture is like, what the leadership is like, does impact and can either prevent a player from busting out and being well, or prevent a player that is really good, but making him look like a bust just because the team around him is a mess. Sam Darnold is the perfect example. I think Sam Darnold's still a very good quarterback. I think he will have success in Carolina if he is the guy, if they don't draft a quarterback tonight. So I do think that at least he will have some success in Carolina compared to what he had in New York. But we saw the Jets, all the turmoil there. To me, that is part of the reason why I thought that Sam Darnold struggled, to say the least. So I think it does, when there's no talent there, I think that does impact a team, especially a quarterback. If you put him in a bad situation, I don't think he'll succeed no matter who the quarterback is. To where if you have a great situation, even if you have an okay to maybe not the best quarterback in the draft, he can explode similar to the way Justin Herbert did in Los Angeles last year. That's my just personal team building philosophy. I think it's smarter to build the team up first, then get the quarterback, then going quarterback first, and then deciding to build the team around him. So we'll see what happens. Zach Wilson going to go number 2. We'll talk to Jimmy O'Connell, Falcons fan of the Sports Lords, in about 10 minutes. Speedy Petey, producer extraordinaire, will join us in about a half hour, talk Giants, and we'll finish up the show, the most powerful team in the draft. I do want to quickly touch on one team, though, that I'm fascinated with. They're not picking in the top 3. They're not picking in the top 5 or the top 10 or the top 15 or even the top 20. The team I am very excited to see draft tonight, and I do think that this will set the tone for the rest of the season going forward, are the Green Bay Packers. I am fascinated to see what they do because if you remember last year, the Packers in 2019 go to the NFC title game in Matt LaFleur's first year there. Aaron Rodgers has a decent bounce back year. They get blown out by the 49ers. And you look, okay, there's 2 significant weaknesses this team has: run defense, wide receiver. They had, obviously, Devonta Adams, a great receiver, one of the best in the league. But they needed to get him some help. They needed a consistent secondary receiver. They had Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They had Equanimous St. Brown. Those guys weren't consistent enough to step up in a big playoff game like the NFC title game. So I thought, okay, Packers 1 or 2 pieces away from a Super Bowl team. They'll for sure do that this year. And as you remember, they instead, in the first round, traded up to draft a quarterback, Jordan Love. Despite having a team that went to the NFC title game just a few short months before, they decided it is time to start looking at the future. And that future is at quarterback. With Aaron Rodgers getting up there in age, we think it's best for us to go quarterback and start thinking about the future. Then in the second round, they drafted a running back, A.J. Dillon. Why is that significant? Well, you can make the argument running back and quarterback were the 2 most solid positions on the Packers. Maybe offensive line in there as well if you want to put them ahead of running back. But they had Aaron Jones, stud running back. You had Aaron Rodgers, stud quarterback. You didn't need, if you're the Packers trying to win a Super Bowl in 2020, a quarterback or a running back. Packers did both. And as we know, despite that, Aaron Rodgers wins an MVP. They come up short in the playoffs again. To me, they could have used a consistent second receiver. To me, they could have used a draft pick that actually was on the field who could have made an impact in the NFC title game at home, despite losing to the Buccaneers. So I am fascinated now when you look at the Packers coming off of a second consecutive NFC title game appearance, coming off of a season to where Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, which I didn't expect. I don't know if even Aaron Rodgers expected it. Packers sure as hell didn't expect that. Now they got a decision to make. Are we going to continue to build for the future in Jordan Love? Whether it's defense, whether it's offensive line, are we going to get a piece that maybe could develop and be here when Jordan Love is a quarterback? Or are we going to draft a player that can win right now, that can start right now, and maybe be the difference for us and finally give us a chance to get over the hump and get back to the Super Bowl and maybe get Aaron Rodgers his second ring? Because when you look at the way the Packers have been operating this offseason, and Aaron Rodgers' contract is a perfect example of this, the Packers are tight up against the salary cap. They don't have much wiggle room if they want to add players to their team. So one way to do so is restructure contracts. What does that mean? You restructure a contract so you put more money up front now and you spread out money, you take a pay cut now, but you spread out the money over the final years of the contract. So if Aaron Rodgers is here, I believe he has 3 more years on his deal, you take a significant amount of money, take it away from him now, and you spread it out over the next 3 years. So that way you have financial flexibility to sign players now in a shorter or I should say in a year where the salary cap is less than normal, right? Went down. Instead, because what happens when you spread the money out, the dead money basically adds up. So now if they were to cut Aaron Rodgers after this year or trade Aaron Rodgers after this year, he is still on their books, right? There is still some salary on the books that counts for Aaron Rodgers, even though he's not on the roster. So the Packers right now have to figure out what the hell they want to do. They have not restructured Aaron Rodgers' deal, which to me signals the fact that Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone after this year. I think this is a 2021 for both sides. I think it makes sense for Aaron Rodgers to leave after this year. I think it makes sense for the Packers to move on after this year. You got to see what you have in Jordan Love. And I think for Aaron Rodgers, you want to be, with how good you've been, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, right? No doubt about that. I think it's fair to say. He's been one of the best quarterbacks, talent-wise, we've ever seen in the NFL, especially in my lifetime being 26 years old. When you are that good, you don't want to kind of be jerked around by your team. If you want to win a Super Bowl, why stick around for a team that can't even commit to you? They can't commit. They don't want to restructure your deal because they don't want to commit long-term and have you here longer than maybe they want. They want to have you out on their timeline. To me, Aaron Rodgers is great enough to where he determines when he wants to leave. So if I'm Rodgers, you look at what Tom Brady did. Tom Brady left New England. The unthinkable happened. Michael Jordan left the Bulls. Tom Brady left the Patriots. Two things we thought would never, ever, ever happen. And Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, a team that wanted him, a team that went all in for him. They did whatever he wanted. Player, scheme, they did it all, and they won the Super Bowl. So if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're sitting there saying, I'm better than Tom Brady, or I'm at that level. And now you see the Packers consistently tiptoeing around free agency, not really signing anyone to put them over the edge. Draft-wise, they're sort of drafting guys that can help this year, but most likely they're kind of have one eye on the future already with Jordan Love, and they're drafting for 5 years from now instead of right now. Why would you want to be a part of it? It's almost embarrassing. It's almost a slap in the face. If you're Aaron Rodgers, it's disrespectful to still be in the prime of your career. The guy just won an MVP. He still can play at an extremely high level. And you have the team that drafted you, that developed you, that you won a Super Bowl with, kind of already, having one foot out the door, kind of already looking at an exit plan, and already kind of worrying about life after Aaron Rodgers. Despite the fact that Aaron Rodgers is still there and still playing really damn well. So I'm Rodgers, I had enough of it. I think 2021, mutually, he should want to go somewhere else and get that love from a team that he deserves. And the Packers, I think, because they're so 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's time to go to Jordan Love. You got to get him on the field. If you sit him again next year, that's going to be 3 years. Now you have to exercise the fifth-year option without even seeing him on the field. And at most, you're going to get 2 years to figure out, is Jordan Love our franchise guy? Do we have to go somewhere else? So I am fascinated to see what the Packers do. They're way back there in the draft. They're not in the top 10. They're not in the top 5. They're not going to be taking a quarterback. So obviously the storylines we've been focusing on, they're not part of. But who they draft tonight, I think will send a massive message going forward of the direction of the team. Do they want to go all in for Aaron Rodgers for the first time in a few years? Or are they still looking for the future where, hey, if we win now, that's great. That is the cherry on top. That is a bonus. But if we don't win right now, okay, we still have our future in front of us. That's what I think so far the Packers' mindset is. I think it's disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a real shame. I think that's why I'm fascinated to see what they do. Do they finally go all in, or do they actually still, again, like last year, despite the fact that they were on the cusp, this close, 7 yards away from going to the Super Bowl, do they again look for the future, take a step back, or do they go all in? I'm fascinated to see who they go with tonight in Green Bay. So when we come back, that's hour number 1 in the books. We appreciate CJ coming on. We'll still try to get Clarence Nixson, our Bengals guy, host of the Wise Guys right here on the Worldwide Sports right now. We'll try to get him on and talk about what he thinks they should do. Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts. But when we come back, the Falcons to me, and I'll get to this in 40 minutes. I'll explain my reasoning why. The Falcons to me are the most powerful team in the draft. They have so many different options they can go to. Should they draft a quarterback? Should they trade back? Should they take Kyle Pitts? Host of the Sports Lords every Mondays right here on the Worldwide Sports Network. Jimmy O'Connell will join us next. Big-time Falcons fan. What does he want to see his team do? We will get his thoughts when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels.
Hey, Jimmy, this is Ryan from the Worldwide Sports Network. How are you, man?
And a friendly hello to someone.
I'm
just
doing
like
well.
your mother,
I'm doing well.
grandfather,
Thanks so much for coming
or
on the show
next-door
this morning
neighbor.
and give us a few minutes.
These
Really
seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole, or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, going until 11 a.m. Eastern. Getting ready, all ready to go for the NFL Draft in just a few hours away. We have finally made it. As a reminder, we're coming to you live, as we always are, from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios Great pizza, hot heroes, phenomenal dinners. Check them out at BigItalyPizza.com. A team drafting at number 4, to me, is fascinating. Even more fascinating, honestly, than the 49ers, because the 49ers at number 3 have been the most talked about team. Who should they take? Which quarterback do you like? Is it really going to be Mac Jones? What about Trey Lance, Justin Fields? Obviously, we've had discussions ad nauseum, but what the 49ers should do at number 3. But we know it's going to be a quarterback. It's just which of the 3 quarterbacks will they take? Well, a team right behind them at number 4, to me, is fascinating because we don't know what direction they could go. They could go in legitimately 3 different directions. I think all 3 can make sense. They could trade down. They can draft a quarterback. They can go Kyle Pitts. So what should the Falcons do? Well, no better person to talk to than our guy right here on the Worldwide Sports Network, host on the Sports Lords. Make sure you check out every Monday at 4 o'clock Eastern. It is Jimmy O'Connell. Jimmy, what's up, man? Appreciate the time. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we appreciate the time, and I'm very excited to have you on the show because you being a Falcons fan yourself, there are so many different directions to go to. I'm sure we were just kind of talking off air of like what the fan base should do. So even before we kind of, I guess, dissect each around what should happen, you're Terry Fino. You're the general manager of the Falcons. You can trade back. You can go quarterback. You can draft Kyle Pitts. Maybe you like Jamar Chase more. What do you think the Falcons should do there with the 4th pick?
You know, at this point, with the reality of Matt Ryan's restructured contract, if I'm Terry Fontenot, I'm hoping that somebody further back in the draft desperately wants to move up to get that number 4 pick so they can take a quarterback, and somebody throws a ton of picks my way. If I'm Terry Fontenot, I want to trade back, but I need to get my socks blown off by the offer, So with that being said, if I don't get a good offer, then I am just going to take Kyle Pitts. The reality is, I think a lot of Falcons fans, the fan base wants to move on, I think, to the Matt Ryan era. But as we've seen from the activities in the offseason, especially, the way they've restructured his contract to give themselves some more cap room, they're sticking with Matt Ryan for at least another season. So that sort of rules out the possibility of taking a quarterback. So it's an awkward position for them because I think, at number 4, the value play is quarterback. So it's tough. No tight end has ever been taken 4th overall or that high in the top 5, I don't think. On the other hand, Kyle Pitts, he's a unicorn, is the way so many people are describing him. So, I mean, he's a guy who can come in and make an impact right away and be, the red zone threat that the Falcons have needed for the last few years. As a Falcons fan, I have to say it's exciting to have a high pick in this sort of high leverage position that they're in. But it is a little frustrating because it seems like this is the perfect time to sort of start fresh. You've got a new coach, new GM. You've had Matt Ryan's been the franchise quarterback for the last 13 years, and he's still, he's an above average quarterback still, I think. But, I think the fan base, especially immediately after the season ended, before they made any new coaching and GM hires, I think a lot of the fan base was all in on taking a quarterback. I know a lot of people like Justin Fields. He's the local kid. Of course, he had his stint at Georgia that was sort of botched by Kirby Smart. Yeah. I'm a Georgia fan too, so I'm
wow.
Sort of, yeah. So I'm triggered by that, but I love Justin Fields, and so I would love to see him as a Falcon. but it just doesn't really make sense to draft him if you're going to be paying Matt Ryan for at least 2 more seasons, you know? So it's kind of a tough spot, but right now, if I'm Terry Fontenot, I'm taking Kyle Pitts.
I'm with it there, Jimmy. I think he's the surest thing in this draft, maybe of any prospect, to be honest. Like just with how how good he is, his size, his speed, he does everything well. Tremendous. I'm with you. I think to me, Kyle Pitts should be the move for the Falcons. It's fascinating because you brought up the Matt Ryan restructure, which I just as an outsider myself, not a Falcons fan, not based in Atlanta, it was like, oh, that's interesting. Doesn't really make much sense. To your point, they got rid of, the regime in Atlanta. Obviously, they tried to run back the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, each year basically got worse and worse and worse since 2016. So you would think, okay, now is the perfect time. New GM, new head coach. You're at number 4. Hit the reset button, hit the rebuild button, and try to get something new here. The restructure, to your point, keeps Matt Ryan here. Maybe it looks like they'll probably have to trade Julio Jones. Are they in a position, despite Matt Ryan being here for at least 1 year, potentially 2, do you get the sense, are they in a rebuild? Does Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith look at this like a rebuild situation? Or are they trying to win games in 2021, be competitive, and make the playoffs?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great question. And that's what's a little concerning about this, is it seems like they don't think, it seems like they're either sort of, they think they're competitive and they're not rebuilding, or they're sort of trying to have a foot in both worlds, they're sort of straddling, not really sure which direction they want to go. I mean, I think Arthur Smith, when he got here, I think he must like Matt Ryan, and he probably thinks I can succeed. This guy's still got some tread on the tire. And, I can still get some good years out of Matt Ryan. But the problem is not so much whether or not Matt Ryan is still a capable NFL quarterback. I mean, I think he is. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the team has so many holes. I mean, the defense has been terrible for the last few years under Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
I think, ideally for the Falcons, if there was an elite sort of top 10 pass rusher, that would make more sense for them. I think it makes more sense to take Kyle Pitts as the most talented player available at 4. But to your point, they'll take Kyle Pitts, and he'll be an immediate impact rookie, and maybe they'll score a lot of points this year, but I still don't see them as a playoff team. I mean, they still have so many other holes to fill on this team, which to me is why if I'm Terry Fontenot, I'm trying to see if anybody wants to make an aggressive offer to move up and get that 4th pick, so I can get more value, in this year's draft and maybe a couple picks next year or something. And because there's so many other holes on this team. But it's strange because with the Matt Ryan restructure, they've put themselves in this sort of awkward position where they don't really have a clear path forward.
Right. We're talking with Jimmy O'Connell, Sports Lords host, right here on the Worldwide Sports Network every Monday at 4 o'clock. I'm with you. And to your point too, Jimmy, like you said, if someone wants to knock their socks off with an offer at number 4, I think the best bet of that happening is if the 49ers take, Mac Jones at number 3, then you have both Justin Fields and Trey Lance sitting there at 4. From just the overall fan base perspective, would it be what would the fan reaction be if they do take maybe Kyle Pitts over Justin Fields, or they don't take Justin Fields or trade out? Would there be frustration from the fans? Because, like you said, especially you being a Georgia fan yourself, you saw Justin Fields there, kind of almost the one that got away going to Ohio State. Is this a chance for the fan base's perspective to almost right or wrong and let him get away the first time? Would there be, not outrage, would there be frustration that they pass on Justin Fields again? Or, if it is Kyle Pitts or they get, let's say, 2 first-round picks, people are like, okay, you know what, fine, that's worth it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, obviously there's a ton of overlap between Georgia fans and Falcons fans. So I'm sure, amongst the Georgia fans within the Falcon fandom, I think, a lot of them want another. They want sort of a shot at redemption with Justin Fields. I mean, I think a lot of people want to sort of turn the page and want to reset, and it seemed like the perfect time to do it. So I think there's a solid chunk of the fan base that will be disappointed if they don't take a quarterback, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Justin Fields. I mean, I know a lot of people like Trey Lance. Honestly, I'm kind of confused about how, why Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are now seemingly valued over Justin Fields. To me, for the last few years, Justin Fields has been, the 1A quarterback in college football, right behind Trevor Lawrence. So I think, if he's still available at 4, and the Falcons take Kyle Pitts, which at this point, that seems like the most likely scenario, there's definitely going to be some disappointment in the fan base. But that being said, I mean, Kyle Pitts, he's got future, all-pro potential. Obviously, he's ready to go as an NFL playmaker. So that'll be exciting, but I think a lot of fans are sort of, they're going to be, it's going to be sort of similar to some of these Dan Quinn years where we have a pretty good offense, but the rest of the team kind of sucks. And it's just like, why are we still doing this? So, I think there's going to be a pretty significant part of the fan base that will be disappointed if a quarterback's not taken. Because, like I said, and especially back in like December, January, before they restructured Ryan's contract, I think most people assumed, the Falcons were going to be taking one of these, top 4 quarterbacks. And now it seems unlikely. So, it's going to be interesting. I mean, as a Falcons fan, you're always kind of expecting the worst. So you kind of have to prepare yourself for some level of disappointment, or prepare yourself for them to botch it in some way. So that being said, Kyle Pitts is a great player. It'll be fun to watch him play, but I still don't, I don't see the Falcons as a playoff team. So I don't really, I don't really understand what like the vision is for this season. But it seems like Arthur Smith, thinks he can be competitive in 2021 with Matt Ryan as his quarterback. So it seems like that's the plan.
Stuck in the middle, almost kind of the way the Giants were with Eli Manning, where it was almost, forget even the restructure, but just the fan base and the organization loving Eli Manning, despite the fact that, I mean, he wasn't, it's like he was playing great, sort of like Matt Ryan was. It was just this love to where they could not detach themselves. And it dragged on for an extra year or two where it shouldn't have. And I think the Giants still to this day are paying for it just because they kind of, like to your point, haven't turned the page like you've been saying and just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off. They've been trying to, eke it out and bleed it out. And it's good for nobody.
Exactly. It feels very similar to the Eli situation where it's like, guys, it's time to move on. But they're trying to hang on and it could just create more problems down the road. So we'll see.
I'm with you there. Jimmy, we'll get you out on this one. I'm just curious. Let's say they do trade back. Maybe the Broncos are feeling frisky here, or the Panthers, or the Patriots. Or, I mean, we heard Jerry Jones profess his love for Kyle Pitts. Maybe he gets super anxious and trades up, gives you a Godfather offer, trades up to number 4 to get Kyle Pitts. If they do trade back, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe even further than that, is there a defensive player that you kind of have your eye on that you fantasize over? Micah Parsons, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain. Is there either player or position, linebacker, corner, pass rusher, that, if they do go defense, maybe trade back and they have their pick with all these offensive players going early, you have the pick of the board defensively. There's one guy or one position you want to see addressed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think their greatest need on defense, which is, they're the weaker of their two units, is pass rush.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's not a ton of value, and there's not, any super talents out there. I mean, as a Georgia fan, the first name that comes to mind is Azeez Ojulari. I know he's projected as sort of a late first round pick, but I think, if they do trade back, they've got to see if they can find somebody who can rush the quarterback. I think that's a pretty huge need for them.
Pass rusher it is. You can hear Jimmy every single Monday right here on the Worldwide Sports Network, host of the Sports Lords, 4 o'clock Eastern every Monday. Jimmy, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be fascinating to see what the Falcons do. Hopefully, at least when we're sitting here this time tomorrow, you have at least a better idea of the direction the Falcons want to go than maybe we do right now, because I'm with you. I think it is a muddy picture for sure. We appreciate you giving us a few minutes here. Enjoy the draft tonight.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.
Appreciate it. Again, every Monday at 4 o'clock is the Sports Lords. You can hear Jimmy and the rest of the guys as well every single Monday at 4 o'clock. Where else? The Worldwide Sports Radio Network. So we'll take a very, very brief break. When we come back, the New York Giants are selecting number 11. When you look at the Giants, it's interesting because there is almost not a pick that they could make that would be a wrong pick. I'll explain why that is, and we'll talk to producer extraordinaire, Speedy Petey, big-time Giants fan. He's all over the Worldwide Sports Network here. He will give us his thoughts on what the Giants should do next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
That's right, it is the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here until 11 a.m. Eastern. We appreciate Jimmy O'Connell giving us his Falcons thoughts. Falcons are stuck in the middle, man. It really is interesting where most of the moves they make will signal rebuild. Drafting a quarterback, trading back, even drafting Kyle Pitts, I think, is the only move that they can make to sort of at least convey that, hey, we're going to try to be competitive in 2021. But even still, you're also giving whatever quarterback they draft next year and 2 years, make a trade for. Whenever they turn the page and close the book on Matt Ryan's career, they will give whatever new quarterback a tremendous, tremendous weapon in Kyle Pitts. So again, we appreciate Jimmy coming on. And now we welcome in producer extraordinaire, a man who has his fingers on every single show right here on the Worldwide Sports Network. But his name is on their marquee, Sports Loudmouths with Errol Marks, Josh Silverberg, and with Speedy Petey every single Wednesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Worldwide Sports Network. It was the man whose name is Speedy Petey. Petey, what's up, stud?
I love the extraordinaire. That's something I'll have to utilize more.
You should put that on the resume. You should put that on your Twitter bio. Every single place where you are marketing yourself, producer extraordinaire, because you are essentially the executive producer of every show right here on the Worldwide Sports Network. So you got to have a title that's fitting, you know?
Yeah, I like that. I ever utilize that for a lot of different things.
So, Speedy, you are a Giants fan. I'll ask you this question. We're looking at the Giants picking at number 11. I do think, for the most part, whatever route, I should say, that they end up doing at number 11, I think it's hard for them to make a bad pick. Do you agree with that or disagree?
In most scenarios, yes. The one thing I worried about, and I asked this to both of our guests that we had on yesterday, I've seen a lot of mocks where they're taking an edge rusher. That's the one thing that worries me the most, because I don't think the edge rushing class is any good in terms of we're at number 11. Like my favorite edge rusher is the kid from Georgia, Ojulari.
Okay.
But I don't think he's anything more than a late first round pick. So if he falls to the second round, I don't mind if they take him, and because it is a need for the Giants. But if they take one at 11, I'm not going to like it because I don't think the value is there. The Giants have a bunch of needs that could definitely go in that spot. They could take a receiver. They could take an offensive lineman. They could take your Penn State guy, Micah Parsons.
That's
There's a lot of different options there with that.
Yeah, they're in it. And to your point, too, especially if the run on quarterbacks goes early, and that Giants could be one of the biggest beneficiaries of this, where if we potentially have 5 quarterbacks go in the top 10 picks, right? That could push down, like you said, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn. I mean, there's a potential that 1 or 2 of those guys get pushed down where the Giants sit in their number 11, scoop them up pretty easily. Is there one player that you kind of have your eyes set on where you, in a perfect world, this is the guy you want the Giants taking number 11? Who is it?
Now, it's interesting you brought up the corners because I actually don't think they need that as much because they signed Adoree Jackson. James Bradbury played very well for them last year. And actually, their 4th-round rookie, Darnay Holmes, played very well. So I actually don't think they need corner. Devontae Smith would be my ideal target because I think he is that good of a wide receiver, great route runner, great hands. I know people are worried about his size, but I think he can still bulk up in the NFL. I'm not really worried about his 166 pounds. Because again, he's young. He can bulk up a little bit, his upper body, whatever it takes. And Austin Gale from Pro Football Focus, we had on the Sports Loudmouths yesterday, brought up how he was one of the highest graded wide receivers in college football in the last 10 years when it came to beating press coverage. So I think that'll come more naturally to him. I think he's more the exception to that rule. So he would be the ideal target. I'm hoping maybe teams get scared away from the body type and maybe he falls to the Giants, but then again, I'm also scared the Giants will still pass on him anyway. And if he goes to the Eagles after the Giants pass on him, that is when I am going to lose.
Well, I will say this. I'm with you. I like Devontae Smith a lot. Like I said, just you watch him at Alabama, there's a reason. Like, it's not an accident he's wide open every play. You know, a lot of that's on him just getting open. It's not like defenses forget who he is. So to your point, I'm with you. I think he'll be fine in the NFL. I will say this. If he does go to the Eagles, with their history, they will find a way to screw it up, Speedy. So I think you can at least rest easy that, hey, you look at who they take in, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Jalen Reagor. The Eagles don't know how to use these receivers. So even though I think Devontae Smith, I'm with you, will be good, I'm sure they'll find a way to screw it up.
Well, those guys, I think, have mostly been bad because of the injury issues more than anything else. Because I think Reagor was very talented. Arcega-Whiteside, you kind of knew he was injury prone in college with Stanford. I liked him as a talent, like a big physical guy. He also is in the wrong type of the NFL, too, with it being more of a spacing game now, not really much of the big body type. So Rager, I'm going to still give him more of a chance too. Carson Wentz was obviously terrible last year, and the Eagles were banged up on that offensive line, so it was very hard for their offense to function the way it was. And Rager was hurt a lot of the time, so I'll give him a little bit of a pass with that. But if the Giants pass on Devontae Smith, Dave Gettleman doesn't deserve to draft day 2.
Oh, wow, that's it, huh? They say Jalen Waddle or Patrick Surtain, they go corner, they go linebacker, they take anyone if Devontae Smith's not there. You're saying, all right, Dave, take your key card. It's time to go. Someone else is making the call on Friday.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. Believe me. And I mean, there's other prospects I like. I'm not going to
Right.
say they're
But he's your guy.
He's my guy. He's my guy in that spot. I think he's that special of a player, and I don't think he'll be there. This is me just, again, reading stuff with different mock drafts because of the weight issues, the size issues that a lot of people are fearing with him, that they have him falling far enough where he could be there for the Giants. But again, I've also seen instances where the Giants pass on him and he either goes to the Eagles, I saw something where he falls all the way to Arizona at 16.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen different variety. Like that's how much people are afraid of this body size with Devontae Smith. Again, it's not most of the mock drafts I've seen, but it's some of the recent ones just with that body size. Again, it's not something I'm worried about personally because he's still 6 feet. He still has great route running ability, great spacing, and good, very good hands too.
Right.
It's not like he's a guy like a speed guy that has drop problems or a smaller
He's not
guy
Nelson
that has drop
Aguilar out
problems.
there, dropping in the basket. He's dropping half the passes thrown to him.
Yeah, then that was, speaking of Alabama guys, that was actually a big reason I was down on Henry Ruggs last year, which turned out to be right so far. He's probably was like the 7th or 8th best rookie receiver last year because he actually had those drop problems despite his speed, and he wasn't the same route runner Smith was in terms of a variety. Smith can run a lot of different routes. His route tree with more complicated routes, intermediate routes, was tremendous at Alabama.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Like I said, he can play inside, he can play outside, he could do it all. Yeah, I'm with you. Like when the only knock for Devontae Smith is just his weight, I'm with you. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue or should be too much of a reason to pass on him. I'm curious. I want to go back to what you talked about the corner, Speedy. So you mentioned, right, they signed Adoree Jackson. I like James Bradbury. Bradbury played really well last year. Isn't corner position where it's almost you can't have enough of those guys, especially now 3-4 receivers on the field almost every single snap. I don't know about you. I guess you're higher on Adoree Jackson than I am. That's not a guy where I look at a position locking it down and being a guy that's going to be there, kind of no doubts about him. I think if Surtain or Horn are there, I think that's got to be a move Gettleman has to at least consider, if not maybe even prioritize more than receiver, considering, obviously I do like the young receivers that the Giants have already, and then obviously you add Kenny Golladay on top of that. It's going to be a good position you can kind of solidify a position that not many teams can feel confident in, which is the secondary.
I like the philosophy of it for sure, and I love Horn as a prospect. If they end up taking him, I would not be mad because I think the long corners are the wave of the league now in terms of shutting down those more athletic type wide receivers. Horn's 6'1", 205, very long arms, and looking at his numbers against a lot of top players, including Alabama receivers. I think Judy was one of them, and then they were looking at it against Waddle, one of the games he was healthy during his career. So Horn is definitely somebody I love as a prospect. I think that you're right. I didn't love the signing of. Not that it was a bad contract for Adoree Jackson. He's still a solid player, though. He's when he's healthy, he's a number 2 corner. And James Bradbury's a number 1, and he proved it last year. I just don't know if it's as big of a need. Now, if the receivers are gone and Parsons is gone and something like that, yeah, okay, I don't mind taking the value at that point with Horn. If the other scenario too is, again, the Giants could end up trading back to, if the Patriots want to trade up, if somebody wants to steal a corner maybe from the Eagles or something like that. Again, maybe one of the quarterbacks slips out of the top 10, and maybe some people think that the Eagles could take a quarterback. There's always that possibility, and then the Giants might trade back a little bit. So again, there's some scenarios I wouldn't mind it. I just think the need for either a receiver, a guy like Rashawn Slater, if he falls to the Giants at 11 as a right tackle, and definitely with Parsons too, another guy that I would take over any of the corners just for the Giants' needs. I love Horn as a prospect. I think he's a top 10 prospect. I think he's a perfect long corner. And you're right, it's a passing league, so yes, you want to have as much corner depth as possible. I've been on that boat even before it became more of a trend in comparison to having maybe more middle of the field types, defensive players like a linebacker or a safety. Obviously, the edge rushers, pass rushers, you want to have on all levels, but corner depth is always something that is definitely true to prioritize. I just think where the Giants are right now, they need so many other things. Their rest of their roster is really far behind outside of maybe interior defensive line. And like you were saying, their corners. And when healthy, again, your Penn State alum, Saquon Barkley, being a great running back.
Yeah, hopefully he can. Hopefully it's not a cautionary tale there, Speedy, with taking a running back at number 2. You said 2 words before. I just want to circle back to them. Trade back. As you know, Dave Gettleman somehow, this is actually impressive that it hasn't happened, in his career as general manager, has never, ever, ever, never traded back in a draft. Are you saying that there's a potential chance, or maybe that would be in the Giants' best interest for the first time in Gettleman's career, to trade back, accumulate some extra picks, and not stick where they are for the first time in Gettleman's career?
It's funny because I just brought up Saquon Barkley. I actually wanted them to trade back in that draft too, because not that I didn't love him as a player, but I thought either a team like Buffalo at the time with 2 first-round picks could have jumped to number 2, and the Giants could have rebuilt at that time because they still had Eli. So it's actually funny you brought that up, trade back right at that moment. But in terms of this draft, if the scenario presents itself, I think it's possible because the Giants need a lot of other things. I know they overperformed to some extent last year, especially with their defense playing very well. They got their defensive coordinator back, but it's still flawed in a lot of ways where there's just a lot of things I can't trust. I was talking about edge rushers earlier. I don't want them to take 1 at 11, but it doesn't mean it's not a need for them. They traded Marcus Golden for whatever reason last year. They Lorenzo Carter played well for the first 5 games before he got hurt. But again, that's your top edge rusher that you're trusting, and they don't really have much beyond that. So again, they could boatload a bunch of draft picks if a team tries to go up for a quarterback, if somebody slides out of the first round that maybe is surprising, like Devontae Smith, or even one of those corners too that they might want to take from the Eagles. I think there's a possibility, and if they get that right offer to an extent, again, I would not be mad at it. I don't think it'll happen. You're right. Dave Gettleman's history doesn't show that. At the same time, though, the Panthers were never god awful where they were in that kind of situation either. Like
right.
the Panthers when Gettleman was there, their roster was constructed pretty much the same. It seemed like they always had a nice front 7. They seemed like they always had running games that were effective, even before Christian McCaffrey with D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. But their other needs were obvious. It seemed like they always needed secondary. They always needed receivers. So their picks were kind of obvious to an extent, and whether they took them or not is another question. But they were never picking as early as much as where the Giants were picking, either in Gettleman's tenure, where they had the 2nd overall pick with Saquon, they had 4th with Thomas, and then obviously in 2019 taking Daniel Jones, which, again, not a big fan of that either. But
yeah,
that's why I think being that this is the earliest that they've picked and also the most that they've needed at once, I still wouldn't have ruled it out where they should go it. Again, I don't think Gettleman's going to do it, but if the offer presents itself with how much top heaviness there is with certain positions in this draft in comparison to other drafts, I could see it happening.
We'll finish up with this. We're talking to Speedy Petey, producer extraordinaire, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. What is your trust in Dave Gettleman? He's had an up and down tenure as general manager, as we know. He's had more success in the draft than free agency. He's found some diamonds in the rough like Darius Slayton, made some questionable moves to me, and you just said it too, like Daniel Jones. I wasn't a big fan of that pick either. What is your trust level and factor of Dave Gettleman heading into this year's draft?
Up and down, like you were saying, he's hit on a couple late guys and defensive depth that I think has been good for them, especially last year with guys like I was saying, Darnay Holmes and Julian Love. certain guys like that. Darius Slayton has been he was a little down in 2020 from where he was in 2019, but he still definitely was a gem for the 5th round. So I will give him some credit on that. And again, it was kind of the same thing with Carolina. I know all the players seem to hate him, and that's why they ended up leaving Carolina, but that doesn't mean he still wasn't good in terms of player development. But again, he is wacky to an extent. I didn't want them to take Daniel Jones at the time in 2019. I was saying wait on the 2020 class. It's a lot better with the quarterbacks, especially with the Giants. And I remember eyeing Justin Herbert before he eventually went back to school, and that could have been a lot better for the direction of the Giants if they ended up waiting on that. Obviously, the chips still have to fall the same way with where they were drafting and stuff like that, but still. I wanted them to just take Josh Allen at that time. Actually, I wanted Devin White initially, but he went the pick before to Tampa. And then, obviously, they took Daniel Jones. And the rest of their draft that year, I didn't mind. Obviously, DeAndre Baker, they bombed at too. Now he's, I think, on the Chiefs practice squad or something like that now.
Yeah.
But they got Dexter Lawrence, they got Love in that draft. So there's certain things that were good, but again, there are certain things at the same time that are wacky. So, like I said, he's on the hot seat. He's done. I'm not going to say he's done terribly. I'm not going to say it was 2015 to 2017 Jerry Reese bad.
Yeah.
He's done. I would say below average, but still not awful. But like I said earlier, if he passes on Devontae Smith, I am not going to be happy.
Oh boy, maybe you can hear that scream from wherever you're listening right now. In about a little less than 12 hours from now, if they do decide to say no thank you to Devontae Smith, that could be Speedy Petey screaming out. You can hear him as part of the Sports Lab Mouse every Wednesday, every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Worldwide Sports Right Network. The producer extraordinaire, Speedy. Appreciate the time, man. Thanks for coming on, and good luck tonight. Hopefully you'll be screaming joy that they take Devontae Smith, not screaming curse words and anger that they pass on him and take an edge rusher that was supposed to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick at number 11.
So now you're presenting the worst case scenario. They draft an edge rusher, and then Devontae Smith goes to the Eagles. Then yes. I might not be back for a while. Oh,
take a leave of absence, if you will, just to comprehend all that, huh?
Yeah, that would be quite a venting. And remember, I had to deal with 2016 and 2017, where I was not happy about the 1st round picks either. Thank you, Eli Apple and Evan Engram, for doing that.
Yeah,
in those particular drafts.
Not good. Well, hopefully this is a good one. Speedy, we appreciate the time, man.
Oh, absolutely. Happy draft day. Have a great rest of your show.
Thank you. We will try. Happy draft day to you as well. Speedy Petey, producer extraordinaire of the Worldwide Sports Right Network. Devontae Smith or bust in his mind. And man, if they pass over him, forget just not having a chance to draft him. It's one thing, like Speedy said. If they pass over him, man, Dave Gettleman, you heard Speedy say, fire him on the spot. He makes the call. It's not Devontae Smith. Boom, you're fired. You're out of here. So we appreciate Speedy coming on. We will finish up the show with this. What team in the NFL draft has the most power? I'll explain who that team is and why when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see. With an emoji. To stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at iWitnessBullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? When a tornado is tearing through town? Or a hurricane strikes? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. And it's not always as simple as using your cell phone. That's why now is the time to take action. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Very heavy on the NFL draft, previewing the entire draft. 5 quarterbacks where I think they'll go. Trevor Lawrence, number 1. Zach Wilson, number 2. Shockers, I know. Really going out on the limb with both of those picks. I think chalk does win out here. Lawrence 1, Wilson 2. I do think Trey Lance is going to be the guy number 3. I think the Falcons. I don't think the 49ers are going to take Mac Jones. I don't think that they've made all these moves in order to play it safe by taking Mac Jones. I think they will go Trey Lance, and I think that'll be a great and tremendous fit for Kyle Shanahan and that offense. I think Justin Fields, in a trade-up, the Broncos go to number 6, get Justin Fields. I think Mac Jones ends up at 15 to the New England Patriots. So if you want to get in here before the NFL draft, before we get in here in about 10 minutes, Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook is our page where the live stream is at, if you want to comment there. Where will these quarterbacks go? Who is going to get drafted where? Last shot to get in. Give your predictions before we actually find out who goes where. And I do want to quickly hit on one team here. We talked about it with Jimmy O'Connell before, the Sports Lords. To me, there is one team that is very, very powerful and really controls the entire draft. Now, before I tell you who it is, I think if I just answer that question, who controls the draft the most? Which team, I should say, has the most power in this draft? Conventionally, I think you would think, or maybe your first answer would be the 49ers, right? Because that's a team we have been stressing about, discussing, breaking down which quarterback fits and why for the last month. They've been the most talked about team in this entire draft. Who should they take? It is very polarizing. And obviously, who they take will have an effect going down the line of which quarterbacks remain. So I think conventionally, you think, all right, the 49ers, they've gotten a ton of attention, all the speculation about who they will take. The 49ers controlled the draft the most. They are the most powerful team in this draft. I don't think that is the case. They are the most intriguing team in this draft. They're the most fascinating team in this draft. They are not the most powerful. To me, the most powerful team in this draft are the Atlanta Falcons. Because here's why. Whatever decision they end up making will have seismic waves sent through the rest of the top 10, the rest of the first half, and even maybe through the rest of the first round of the draft. Because when you look at the 49ers, right, obviously the big question is which quarterback are they going to take? Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. But no matter who they take, they only have one option what they're going to do, number 3, quarterback. Right? They're taking a quarterback. They're not taking Kyle Pitts. They're not taking Jamar Chase. They are taking a quarterback. It's just which quarterback will they take? When you look at the Falcons, they have 3 legitimate options that they could make. And each direction that they decide to go in will have ripple effects, again, through the rest of the top 10 and adjust the way teams view the draft going forward. Because the Falcons, could trade back. We heard Jim O'Connell say, maybe getting picks if a team knocks their socks off could be worth it. They could take a quarterback, sit him behind Matt Ryan for a year or two. It could be Fields. It could be Lance. Maybe it could be Jones if he's not taken by the 49ers. Or they could take Kyle Pitts at number 4. Each, again, decision sends different ripple effects throughout. Because let's say if they take a quarterback, right? It doesn't matter whether it's Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or Mac Jones. Now, all of a sudden, then taking quarterbacks, you have quarterbacks go the first 4 picks, which means Kyle Pitts, push down the draft board. Jamar Chase, push down the draft board. So now, not only do you have the Bengals and Dolphins presumably getting the guy that they want at 5 and 6, you now leave one quarterback left on the open market, if you will, for teams like the Broncos that are desperate, for teams like the Panthers, where you heard there's still some interest, despite trading for Sam Darnold, there's still interest in drafting a quarterback, depending on who it is. The Patriots, as we know, so far just have Cam Newton. There are plenty of teams that could use a quarterback, that could be in the market to draft a quarterback. Well, now, they are obviously later back. You have the Broncos at 9, the Patriots at 15, the Panthers at 8. So if you're right now a team, and you see right now with the 7th pick coming in where the Lions are at, you have one quarterback on the board, that could force you to make a big move and really even start a bidding war at number 7 if you're the Lions, at number 8 if you're the Panthers, and especially if Justin Fields is that guy where Mac Jones, as a lot of people have been saying, not me, a lot of people have been saying Mac Jones at 3 to the 49ers. You have maybe Trey Lance go 4 to the Falcons. You have Fields sitting there. I think that will create a bidding war. And again, change really the outlook of people or teams and how they approach the back end of the top 10 of the first round, So taking a quarterback would, again, set really, kind of the market going forward, and I think would start a bidding war to get that 5th and final quarterback. They draft Kyle Pitts, okay, which I think that should do. You heard Jimmy O'Connell, he said the same thing, draft Kyle Pitts. Well, now that leaves the Bengals probably taking Jamar Chase. Now, all of a sudden, you have the Dolphins sitting there at 6. I think they're a likely candidate to trade back. You have 2 quarterbacks. Maybe it's Justin Fields and Trey Lance. Maybe it's Mac Jones and Trey Lance. Maybe it's Mac Jones and Justin Fields sitting there at number 6. Again, you have teams, I think, that can make some moves. And all of a sudden, the Dolphins are a team that trades back at number 6 because there's a guy that they don't really like there that they can get some value for. And I think, again, now you have teams being uber aggressive, trading up to grab the guy they want. And if the Dolphins, or let's say the Falcons, trade out at number 4, the 49ers take whatever quarterback that they want. Probably in this situation, to get the best return, they take Mac Jones, and then you have Trey Lance and Justin Fields sitting there. That could really, again, spark an uber-aggressive team. If you're the Patriots, if you're the Broncos, where, hey, you can get to number 4, you can get the guy you want. You can honestly get a feeding frenzy going because you have 2 quarterbacks with very high ceilings in Fields and Lance sitting there. And if you're a team outside of the top 10 or even towards the end, you have a chance to go crazy and get your guy. And if we want to get crazy, if we want to get nuts, we saw the Packers do it last year, trade up to get a quarterback despite the fact they had Aaron Rodgers. If you are the Steelers, if you are the Saints, if you're some of these teams where, you have quarterback questions, or maybe not an immediate need, but, in a year or two could be making different decisions, do you get frisky? Do you consider, hey, let's move up and let's get our guy. Let's sit Justin Fields. Let's sit Trey Lance for a year or two. Let's get him now and already have a plan in place going forward to where if Jameis Winston doesn't work out, to where if Ben Roethlisberger, we all presume this is his last year in Pittsburgh, hey, maybe, it's better to get the future going now. So I think whatever decision the Falcons do, trading back, drafting Kyle Pitts, to drafting a quarterback, will drastically change the way teams in the top 10 and the rest of the first round go and approach the draft. It may force some teams to get super aggressive. It may force some teams to fall back. It may force some teams to now all of a sudden get some skilled players and push some quarterbacks down the board and have other teams get lucky. So I think, to me, that's why the Falcons are the most powerful team in this draft. They control a lot of what happens after number 4 going forward. They're the biggest wild cards because they can go all 3 different directions here. Each direction different to what you would think. And each direction has its own ripple effects that will affect the rest of the draft. So that will do it for this edition of the Ryan Hickey Show. We appreciate you tuning in on this NFL draft preview. Thanks so much for coming on or for listening. We appreciate Jimmy O'Connell for coming on. We appreciate Speedy Petey for coming on. CJ DeSimone. Weapons Hot will be doing a special draft show tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Worldwide Sports Network. So make sure you tune into that. So we appreciate it. Enjoy the draft tonight. It is finally here. No more speculation. Throw that out the window. We are finally going to get names read off to which teams are going. Enjoy the draft tonight. Enjoy the draft this entire weekend. We'll be back on Monday to break it all down, as we do right here every Monday and every Thursday. Enjoy the draft. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe as always. Stay sane, and we'll talk to you on Monday right here. Where else? The Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.